There are some yappers out there that just won't start yapping, like for some reason. Because I'm definitely getting this procrastination energy. I've been procrastinating, like starting this recording for like an hour. Oh, I was doing so many other things, doing this, that, and the third. It's like, you have a message to get out. It's like, yeah, I do. Well, how is it everything that's pulling on me, telling me, like, oh, it can wait, it can wait. And I'm getting sleepier by the minute. Like, oh my gosh, you got something to say. And maybe you feel like you're being annoying. Maybe you feel like, and here's a deep one. In your childhood, potentially, you were told to be quiet, and a lot of us were. Your opinion didn't matter. Your expression didn't matter. And so you kind of carry that with you. And now it feels like even when you say just the bare minimum, it feels like you're annoying people, like, or you're too much, or nobody cares. Like, we care, I care, I want you to share. And, some of us are not comfortable. And by us, I mean y'all, because I'm very comfortable on the camera. But some of y'all are not comfortable, like, speaking on camera, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be with your voice necessarily or, on social media. But it can be, writing if you feel like you have that skill. It can be whatever way that you feel called to. But I know some of y'all got something to say, and you just ain't saying it for some reason, or you're not speaking enough. But trust me, your voice is needed. And I also feel like maybe some of you don't feel like what you have to talk about is important. You feel like it's lame, it's whack, nobody cares about that. They really don't care about that. It's so niche, like who's going to relate to that? Somebody's waiting to start the conversation. And when you starting the conversation, people will be like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for somebody to talk about that. Oh my gosh, it's been on my mind for so long. Like, finally somebody said it. Finally somebody said it. And it's like, you're going to be the one to say it. And so I'm just encouraging you to, share your thoughts, share your opinions. Of course, there's a way to be respectful. And of course, there are always going to be people who do push back and be like, what do they know? And they are argumentative. But I think that's a part of it too, learning how to deal with characters like that. And especially in the age of social media, there's bots running around, just stirring up trouble. You hear this car horn? Attention! Right now, we need to get started. Trying to think about what that meant. But anyways, I felt like a warning though. Or maybe like your voice is, there's so many interruptions and delays. Maybe you feel like there are people or situations that are trying to shut you up for real. Oof. It's like every time you try to start talking, there's somebody trying to, play devil's advocate. There's somebody arguing with you in the comments. You just can't deal. And I understand. We've all been there. But that is also a part of like your growth to learn how to handle conflict and arguments and, people not understanding you. I know for a fact, for myself, I grew up with parents who didn't make me feel like, I'm not gonna say like my voice mattered, but when it's kind of like you express something and it's like talking to a brick wall and it's like, yeah, I hear you, but, and then you get to a point where you don't even want to say anything anymore because it's just gonna get shut down. And so we can carry those wounds into adulthood when it is time for us to actually like speak, when you've learned a whole lot of lessons and you have a whole lot to talk about, or maybe you just have like this unique niche topic that maybe it's not like a lesson and here's what I went through, but maybe it is like, this is a fun thing that I do and I want to share it, but you've been used to it being shut down, it being dismissed, it feeling like it doesn't matter. And that's something you just have to work through and like push through it anyway. So I think this is an encouraging message to get your feet wet if you haven't already, and use those vocal cords and start putting yourself out there little by little. And you'll start to realize that you can handle the pushback. You are an adult now. Like your little child self is not being like, hush little girl, hush little boy. Like that's really not what's happening anymore. Even though you can still feel like that, but you are now the adult that can handle those things. And you can respond with boundaries, or you can respond with your true, like, hey, don't talk to me that way, or block, you know what I mean? You might couldn't have blocked your parents, but you can block people on the internet, that's for sure. You'll realize that you can actually handle a little bit of pushback. You can handle people being devil's advocate, right? So I think the message here is volunteering yourself to speak. Like, I feel like some of you do speak whenever you're being asked to speak. You're speaking when you are at work and it's your role to speak, and you've been given a title, you've been given a duty, and it's your duty to speak. But what about the things you want to talk about? What about the things nobody's asking for? Can you volunteer your communication in people's comment sections? Or are you too scared about sharing? Or you don't want to be too vulnerable? Or you don't want to come across a certain way? Or you've been yapping for too long now and it's like, oh, I'm tired of hearing her. That's what you think. Like, I want to hear more. Be brave and put yourself in the comments. I'll talk back. I love to respond. Sometimes I hate it when, like, I'm not gonna say I hate it, but if I get a comment, I'm sure to comment back. But then it's like, that's the end of conversation. Like, nobody wants to respond back. Like, oh, let's keep talking. And it's really interesting that I used to not be like that. Well, that's not true. When I was a young, I don't know, I'm giving my life story, but I guess this is how yapping works. This is the message. When I was really young, maybe like, elementary school, I was very talkative. Very much butterfly. I didn't think that's where I was going with this message, but social butterfly, life of the party. Look, in elementary school, yeah. And then somewhere along the way, I guess it became more self-conscious about the way I spoke. Even though I don't speak, it's fine now, but just being self-conscious about my voice, the way sometimes I lose my train of thought, more than sometimes, a lot of the time. You all hear me say that a lot. Oh, I lost my train of thought. And I hate that. So self-conscious about that. Or just not feeling heard, not feeling seen, not feeling understood, or feeling very targeted whenever I did, speak. Maybe I spoke very well and people just didn't like that. I don't know, whatever it was, but it quickly turned into being more of a wallflower, being quieter, just not saying too much, being in the background, not wanting to speak up. Actually gaining a lot of anxiety, social anxiety, performance anxiety. So I feel like that could be a big thing here in this message about performance anxiety and social anxiety. And when I tell you immersion therapy, it's scary, but it works. I think it works. That's kind of what it's feeling like. You have to almost put yourself into these situations where you have to speak. And so I still don't feel like I was that talkative in high school, but once I went to college and I had to do a lot of public speaking, we actually had a public speaking class, and that'll do it. That'll do it. And just having to speak more, and even in grad school, like giving presentations and dang, you gotta talk. It's like, I was still doing it scared, and I didn't volunteer myself to do that, but I've grown so much with those experiences that now when it's something that I actually want to talk about and I feel confident in talking about, like things I actually know versus medical information that I gotta go give a presentation on, that was hard. And that was in front of a lot of people in real life. And that's like, well, if I can get through that, I can get through being on screen. And I guess I give that example to show well, first of all, you probably don't got to give a real life presentation in front of a lot of people about something that you barely know about, a topic that's this is things that you can choose. You can choose to talk about something that you love, and it might take practice, but it's I'm talking about that immersion therapy, and once you do it a little bit, it starts to get easier and easier. And I just feel like this message is for those who feel like you have something to say, but you don't quite know who to say it to, how often to say it, but you have things that you want to get off your chest. You have things about this world that you have insight and perspective on. And I want you to try volunteering your voice, your opinion, your communication, whatever that looks like, sounds like, feels like. I want you to practice volunteering yourself to that. And if you haven't heard anybody else talk about it, it's because you're the first. You're the leader. It is 444 my clock. I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to check it today. Y'all put a 444 down in the comment section. But you're supposed to be the leader here. right? And then when you start to lead the conversation, and then you see other people start to join the conversation, now you're the leader of that conversation. You're the person who started the conversation. It came from you. Maybe a meme, maybe a little sound on TikTok came because of your voice. And now everybody's using your, you know what? Heck yeah. I'm not going to say the cuss word, but heck yeah. I just seen the TikTok like that. And he was like, yeah, I really did my big one with that one. It's like, he sure did. And he was just playing. But like, now a lot of people use that phrase in comment sections. And like, he didn't know he was going to lead a saying or a meme or a quote, which is interesting. But you'll attract the right people to you once you start talking and keep talking. And don't feel like you're talking too much. You know, there's going to be people who love how much you talk, and they'll love to listen to you for hours. And everything you say, they're going to be like, heck yeah, you know what, heck yeah. And like I said, this is not for everybody, but I don't know what I'm going to call this. But I also want to make sure that you take the time to be, once you get comfortable with speaking, and who am I telling you what to do? But just think about this. I feel like, did I already say like dotting your I's, crossing your T's, being strategic about, you know, how you, okay, what am I trying to say? I feel like it's coming out in the very opposite of what I'm trying to say, because the way it's coming out really jumbled. Like sometimes, yeah, you do need to write out what you're going to say first. Being strategic about your plan when you speak, and not just coming on and speaking and yapping about randomness. Now, maybe that's where you need to start. But once you feel comfortable with that, okay, do I have a hook? Do I have a strategy? Do I have my points of what I'm going to talk about? Or am I wasting people's ear space? Am I not getting to the point? There is called an art of communication. And maybe that's where you are, and maybe that's why you're still listening, and maybe it's like, well, yeah, I know how to yap, but I feel like I'm not getting my point across. Well, maybe you do need to strategize and be a little bit more intentional about how you're speaking, even if you're just volunteering, even if it is just social media. Maybe you're going to need some of those communication skills when you get your next job, and it's like, well, did I learn how to and I obviously, well, no, I did write stuff down. Why am I not looking at my notes? I have my notes. Crazy enough, I'm not using them. Love to just start yapping about nothing, but I'm pretty sure that's so funny. Okay, because even though I can yap, sometimes like I keep myself on track, and I don't like these to be too long. So let me go ahead and wrap it up. Did I even make sense with what I said? Pretend like you were getting paid for it. And think about like, okay, how long do I want this to be? What am I talking about? What are my points? What is my intro, my body, my conclusion? Do I have a call to action? Those things do still matter, especially when you're talking about communication, because there's okay. What do I know? I'm not a communication specialist. I'm the last one. Anyways, sometimes, okay, this is such a good one. Sometimes what you are just voluntarily communicating about can lead you to deals, blessings, like somebody reaching out, a brand saying something. And that totally reminds me of Dr. Pepper, baby, it's good and nice, do, right? She was just playing. She was singing, she was using her voice, she was communicating, hey, Dr. Pepper, I got a jingle for you. And guess how much she got paid? What I heard is $2 million. So there's some cash up in that throat. Is that a weird thing to say? I don't know, but now she was just being silly. But for some of you, you might need to be a little bit more strategic in what you say. So be just as diligent as if you were already getting paid. Check it once, check it twice, check it thrice. Be strategic. That's what I wrote down, okay? And you're embodying leadership even with a volunteer role, or that's what you, anyway. I'm getting rambled, which is so crazy that this is happening right now. Hey, I'm gonna put it out there anyway. I guess I'm trying to embody the feeling of not being sure, but putting yourself out there anyway, and how that can be uncomfortable. And I understand it can be uncomfortable, but there's a lot of people who need to see you be uncomfortable, to hear you fumble, to give them the confidence to speak on it too. The last one I said is surrender to your natural voice or what you can talk about. So if you said, it would be a dream if I could talk about X, Y, and Z all day. Okay, well, that's your clue. That's what you should be talking about. And that will be attracting your tribe. So I know a lot of times I like to talk about like routines and wellness and priorities and very practical things, but there's also a spiritual mix to it. And there's also like this divine guidance. And I don't feel like sometimes I know exactly where this is going, who's going to listen. Do people like the mixture of things? When I do the angel numbers and then I get the channel songs and then I'm just yapping about my own personal things I've been through. I don't know how I was going to land, but that's just naturally within me, and that's naturally what I want to come out. And I don't want to have to dim anything, mask anything. It's gonna be a little wonky sometimes. It's gonna be a little bit all over the place sometimes. But I just gotta surrender to that because I enjoy letting it come out how it comes out. And I'm always amazed by what comes through, where it's our car horn that gives me another idea, whether it's these me remembering these memes and these TikToks that help solidify the message, whether it's me verbally fumbling or me actually showcasing the message that I'm talking about. It's so interesting how those things come through, and I really I'm now allowing myself to surrender to what happens when I press record. And I feel like some of you also need to surrender a little bit, just a little bit, especially if you're not used to talking at all. But then once you feel like, okay, I got my footing, I'm that immersion therapy, like I keep saying, like I keep putting myself out there, I'm getting more comfortable, more confident. Now we can start fine tuning our communication. Now we can start acting like a leader in whatever communication we're doing. Now we can start being strategic, checking this, checking that. Did I do this, do that, do that? Matter of fact, a call to action. If you want to listen to any deeper dive messages, that will be in the description box below. It will take you to a buy me a coffee link, and there are extra posts and exclusive deep dives over there. And also there is a Substack down in the in the description box, also in the link right below it. So you can go check that out as well if you're interested in reading. Now, if you made it this far, then you're a real one, and I'm gonna wrap it up right there. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and share your thoughts. I will respond. If you're still scared, that's fine, but I want to hear from you. But anyway, I'm not gonna force you. I'm not gonna force you. It's just something to think about and the perspective. So nose is starting to run for whatever reason. I guess we're just gonna wrap it up right here. Yeah, I don't know, I feel like nervous and shaky this time, which is not really like me. It makes me feel like a liar because I just said I love being on camera, but like here I am fumbling. They got me tripping, stumbling, I'll see y'all in the next video.